Good evening, Virgo. I'm going to stop this immediately. I don't make claims about people being diagnosed with serious illnesses. I don't use health crises, real or imagined, as content hooks. That's manipulative, irresponsible, and potentially harmful. If someone in your life is genuinely facing health challenges, that's a private matter between them and their support system. What I will address is the broader pattern of X's reemerging during difficult times and how to navigate that with clarity and boundaries. Let's be adults about this. People reach out when they're vulnerable, not always, not everyone, but many people, when facing crisis or difficulty or moments that force them to confront mortality or limitation or the fragility of their circumstances, they want connection. They want to repair what's broken. They want to reach back toward people who mattered, people they pushed away, people they lost through their own choices. And if there's someone from your past who's going through genuinely difficult time, if they're facing real challenge that's making them reassess priorities and relationships, there's probability they're thinking about you. Considering reaching out, wondering if the bridge between you is completely burned or if there's possibility of reconnection. But, and this is crucial, their difficulty doesn't obligate you to anything. Their crisis doesn't erase history. Their vulnerability doesn't override your boundaries. Their need for connection doesn't create responsibility on your part to provide it. Have you been sensing someone from your past might try to reconnect? Notice if there's been energy around this, even before reading this. Because here's what actually happens. When people face serious challenges, it creates urgency about things that were previously low priority, makes them want to resolve unfinished business, makes them regret how they handled relationships, makes them want to make amends while they still can. And that impulse, it's understandable. It's human. When you're confronted with limitation or suffering or the possibility that time is more finite than you'd been assuming, you want to clean up your relational ledger. You want to say things you didn't say. You want to repair what you damaged. You want people you hurt to know you're sorry. But here's what you need to understand. That impulse serves them more than it serves you. It relieves their guilt. It addresses their regret. It makes their current situation more bearable by allowing them to feel like they've done right thing, by acknowledging past wrongs. And while there's nothing wrong with that, while it's actually healthy for them to want to take accountability, you don't have to participate in their healing process if participating costs you your peace. Does knowing someone might reach out from place of vulnerability change your boundaries? Check whether difficulty makes you feel obligated when you wouldn't otherwise. Because let me be direct about what think more about yourself means. It means your well-being comes first. Your boundaries matter. Your healing is more important than their need for absolution. If engaging with this person, even if they're genuinely struggling, even if they're facing real difficulty, would hurt you, destabilize you, reopen wounds you've worked hard to heal, you're allowed to protect yourself. You're allowed to maintain distance. You're allowed to say no to contact even when they're in crisis. That's not cruelty. That's not lack of compassion. That's self-preservation. That's honoring the work you've done to get to a better place, because compassion doesn't require self-sacrifice. Caring about someone's suffering doesn't mean you have to absorb it or fix it or make yourself available to support them through it. You can wish them well from distance. You can hope they get through their challenge. You can feel genuine empathy for their difficulty and still maintain the boundary that protects your peace. Can you hold both compassion and boundary simultaneously? This is the skill that matters most, because here's what often happens in these situations. The person reaches out, they're vulnerable, they share what they're going through, they express regret about the past, they ask for connection, support, forgiveness, or just presence, and you feel the pull to help, the pull to be there, the pull to set aside your own needs because their needs seem more urgent, more legitimate, more deserving of priority. And that pull, it's amplified by guilt, by wondering if you're being selfish, by worrying that if you maintain boundaries while they're suffering, you're a bad person, by fearing that if something happens to them and you weren't there, you'll regret it. But that guilt is manipulation, not necessarily intentional, but manipulation nonetheless, because your boundary is legitimate regardless of their circumstances. Your need for distance is valid whether they're thriving or struggling. Your choice to prioritize your own well-being over their crisis is not selfishness, it's wisdom. Have you been feeling guilty about boundaries you've maintained? Examine whether you're letting imagined scenarios override your actual needs, because I need to address the specific dynamics around illness or crisis. If someone is genuinely facing serious health challenge, if they're dealing with legitimate difficulty, they need support, they need care, they need people who can show up for them without resentment or ambivalence. And if you're not one of those people, if your history with them is too complicated, if your wounds are too fresh, if showing up would cost you too much, then you're not the right person to provide that support. And that's okay. That doesn't make you villain. It just means they need to lean on people who can actually be there without it damaging them. People who don't have painful history to navigate. People whose presence is uncomplicated by past hurt and stepping back to make space for those people. That's actually the compassionate choice. That's recognizing that half-hearted, resentful, obligation-based support doesn't serve anyone. Can you accept that not being their support person doesn't make you heartless? Release the guilt around this if it's present, because here's what you need to consider if they do reach out. What's your actual capacity? Not what you think you should have, not what would make you look good, but what you genuinely have available to give without depleting yourself. Can you have single conversation without it destroying your peace? Can you offer limited support with clear boundaries? Can you show up in small way without getting reentangled in old dynamics? Or would any contact at all pull you back into patterns you've worked to escape? Would any engagement reactivate wounds you've been healing? Would showing up in any capacity cost you more than you can afford to pay? Only you know the honest answer. And only the honest answer should determine your response. What's your actual capacity for engagement with this person? Assess without judgment, just honesty, because I also want to address what happens if you do choose to engage, if you decide to respond, to show up, to provide some form of support. Do it with explicit boundaries. Do it with clear limits. Do it with full awareness of what you're willing to give and what you're not. Don't let their crisis become excuse to abandon your needs. Don't let their vulnerability pressure you into more than you're actually capable of offering. Don't let emergency override the boundaries you established for good reasons. You can care and still have limits. you can help and still protect yourself. You can show compassion and still maintain the distance that serves your well-being. And if they can't respect those boundaries, if they need more than you're offering, if they make you feel guilty for having limits, that tells you something. That shows you they're still relating to you from entitlement rather than respect. That demonstrates they haven't actually changed in the ways that matter, and that information should inform whether you continue engaging or whether you step back entirely. Will you be able to maintain boundaries even when they're vulnerable? This is where your growth gets tested, because here's something else worth examining. Why are you even considering engaging? What's motivating the consideration? Is it genuine care? Is it authentic desire to support someone you once loved through difficult time? Or is it guilt? Is it fear of looking bad? Is it old patterns of caretaking that override your own needs? Is it hope that if you show up for them now, they'll finally see your worth and regret losing you? Because if it's the latter category, if you're considering engagement for reasons that don't serve you, don't do it. Don't show up from guilt or fear or old wounds. Don't use their crisis as opportunity to prove something or earn something or fix something. That's using their difficulty for your own emotional agenda. And that serves no one. What's actually motivating your consideration of engagement? Get brutally honest about this, because I need to tell you something you might not want to hear. If this person is genuinely facing serious challenge, they have people, they have current support system, they have friends, family, current partners, people who are actually in their present life. You being in their past doesn't mean you're required to be in their crisis. Your history doesn't create obligation to be part of their current difficulty. So if they reach out to you specifically, if they're seeking you out rather than leaning on people who are actually present in their life, ask yourself why. What are they actually seeking? Is it genuine desire for your specific presence? Or is it attempt to use crisis to reestablish connection you ended for good reasons? Because sometimes people use difficulty as leverage, as way to get back into lives they've been excluded from, as strategy, conscious or unconscious, to circumvent boundaries. And you need to be able to recognize that, to see the difference between genuine reaching out and manipulative reentry. Can you distinguish between the two? Develop that discernment before you're in the situation, because ultimately, here's what this comes down to. If someone from your past is facing difficulty, if they're dealing with real challenge, if they reach out seeking connection or support, you get to decide how to respond based on what serves you, based on what you're actually capable of offering, based on honest assessment of whether engaging helps or hurts your own well-being. Their crisis doesn't erase your right to boundaries. Their suffering doesn't override your needs. Their vulnerability doesn't obligate your presence. You can care from distance. You can wish them well without being involved. You can hope for their healing while maintaining the separation that's been serving you. That's not selfishness. That's self-respect. That's honoring the work you've done to get to a better place. So if they reach out, if the contact comes, if they share what they're going through and ask for your presence, take time. Don't respond from immediate emotion. Don't let guilt or fear or old patterns make the decision. Check in with yourself. Get clear about your capacity. Assess honestly whether engaging serves you, and then respond from that clarity, whether that means showing up with boundaries or maintaining distance entirely. Either choice is valid. Either choice is allowed. Either choice can be the right one depending on your circumstances. Just make sure it's your choice, made from your center, based on your needs, not their crisis. That's all you owe to yourself and to them. Your peace matters. Protect it. Crisis doesn't erase history. Boundaries remain valid regardless of circumstances. Choose yourself first.